Hey everybody, welcome back to the next installment of the Blazer project. I don't know how many more of these there's going to be because I'm seriously getting towards the end of my rope with this thing. I'm trying to solve the oil leak that has been plaguing me since I bought this. I mean, it's pretty bad. I go through about a quart of power steering fluid, I don't know, a couple times a year, and I go through about as much oil as well. And I thought the valve cover gaskets were the problem. I replaced those. It didn't fix anything. Well, I think it helped, but it didn't stop it. So I've been doing a few rounds, if you can tell, of engine degreaser, hosing it off, letting it dry, doing it again like another day later. And I think I found one of the leaks, I'll put in a clip here, that was caused by the lines going from the engine to the remote oil filter housing. So that's easy. I ordered those. They'll be here this weekend. I'm still trying to find the power steering leak, and I think it might also be hoses. So I ordered those. I mean, luckily again for this, everything is so cheap and so easy to get. You know, if I was working on a Mercedes or a BMW, I wouldn't just be throwing parts at it. But, you know, this order was like the 2 lines for the remote oil filter to engine, the 2 power steering lines, and then I got like 5 quarts of synthetic oil, and I think an oil filter for my other car, and I don't know, all this stuff together was like $100, so just keep trying. But I also don't know if you can tell from this angle, but I painted the fender flares finally, so those are all black now instead of multicolored. So then I got out here, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start it up, pull it up on ramps to do this next round of engine degreasing. It wouldn't start. It just crank, no start, like it was out of gas. The fuel gauge was low. I didn't think it was empty, but just to try something, I got a couple gallons of gas on a can, filled it up, still crank, no start. And now, as you can tell, no crank because I killed the battery. So I don't know, I'm about at my wit's end with this dumb thing, but I'll bring you back in another clip here in about a couple days probably. And you can see me do the oil hoses and maybe power steering hoses, change the oil, start it up, drive it around and see if something is still leaking. I just hope it's not something hard to do like rear main seal or oil pan or something. That alone would like mechanically total one of these cars. So I hope it's not that, but we'll come back in a couple days and find out. So the mission for today, I've got power steering hoses and the hoses that go from the engine block to the oil filter, because I found that the oil filter ones were leaking. I'm not sure if the power steering hoses are leaking, but something is leaking power steering fluid, and the hoses are a nice, cheap, easy place to start. So I'm gonna try that. And since I gotta drain the oil, I'm gonna do an oil change and a few other odds and ends. So also in the clip you just saw, I was having issues getting it to start. I finally did get it to start, but the temperature gauge was maxed out. So I don't know if when I was pressure washing it, I knocked something loose or damaged something, but I assume if it thinks the temperature's maxed out, the ECU could be tuning it too rich or too lean or something to compensate, and that's why it's not starting. I don't know. I haven't tried to start it in a week. I'm gonna see what happens, see if it starts and if I can get it up on the ramps, and if so, then I'll just proceed. So fingers crossed. All right, so status check. I've been at this for about an hour. So the temperature sensor, I unplugged it. I looked in the manual and I should have 5 volts across the wire going to it, and I do. The sensor itself should be in the, I don't know, mid-thousands ohms at room temperature, and I am. So when it warms up, it's supposed to drop into the hundreds of ohms. I didn't warm it up because it won't run. But if the resistance drops as it gets hotter, that would imply the computer thinks it's shorted, not open. So unplugging it should make it drop all the way back to cold, but that is not happening. So it must be something unrelated. I checked fuses, fuses are good. I don't know, maybe it just needs to start and run and remember that it's a Blazer. So I moved on from that. Jeez, I don't know what that was about. I moved on from that, see if I could start it again. I started cranking, and then the starter just started spinning and not engaging. So I thought, oh great, that starter I just bought failed. I looked underneath the truck, and I don't know, you might even be able to see it from this angle. The starter bolt was laying on the ground. So I don't know if you remember, I had stacked a bunch of washers to make the wrong bolts work. Apparently that didn't help any in the locking it into place category. So I'm gonna put that back in with a dab of Loctite, and hopefully that'll stay put, because I still haven't ordered the right bolts. So then I started draining the oil, and the winds kicked up and made a mess of the driveway. But other than that, everything's great. So the game plan here is I'm gonna go inside and eat some lunch, and then I'm gonna try to replace the oil lines and the power steering lines. We'll see, but stay tuned. Well, I tried to film as much time lapse as I could taking that apart, but it was just impossible to get the camera at a good angle. But I got the old stuff off. Here are the new parts I'm putting on. This is the remote filter attachment. I've already cleaned it up because it was covered in grease. Stuck the gasket on so I don't have to worry about that falling off. And pre-attached this because this bolt was really hard to get to. I had to just have every extension I had and come in from like the front grill basically to get that off. It was pretty ridiculous and frustrating as sockets kept falling off, but I think this is ready to go. Here's the old hose. I didn't see any evidence of any other leaks other than where I saw the juncture right there. Here's the power steering hose, and it seemed okay, although it wasn't very tight. So maybe that was it, but I don't know, we'll see. I will set the camera back up and I'm gonna clean up some of my oil mess and try to get this on film. Okay, we're gonna see if it starts. Alright, I got it started. My temp gauge started working again, so I was right. It did just need to run for a while and remember that it's a Blazer. I moved it to a new location that's dry, and I have two drips. One is my fault. I spilled a little when I was refilling the power steering fluid, but one is leaking from the oil filter adapter. Right back there, you can barely see it. There's my drip. And I got my temp back. All right, I'm just gonna talk while I clean up and wrap this one up. So, as I like to say sometimes at work, I wasn't able to make it better, but at least I made it worse. I don't know if that's exactly accurate in this case, but I'm still dripping oil, and I think it's from a different spot than I was before. That said, things I did replace other than that one gasket for the oil filter adapter thing. None of the other stuff is leaking, so I may have fixed those, if those were even the problem. I don't know. I might be exactly where I started. I might be a little better. I might be worse. So, if you couldn't tell from me saying it over and over again, I'm about sick of this truck, honestly. Yeah, obviously I've spent more on it than it's worth. We already know that. And now I just spent some more. I don't even know if it fixed it. And another thing I've come to realize is that this truck that I built as the ultimate winter truck, it works great when we get like a foot of snow, but we only get like a foot of snow maybe once a year, maybe once every other year. Most of the winter is just some flurries, some sleet, a little bit of freezing rain. Maybe you got to scrape your windshield in the morning. That's most of winter. That's 99% of winter. And the best car I ever had for those days was a Nissan Leaf. I'm not even kidding. Yes, it's electric. Yes, the range was about 30 miles in the winter. I worked 10 miles from home. I could get to work and back. All my warning lights would be on when I got home because I was so low on juice. But I could plug it in at night, had a timer set. So in the morning, before I got out there, it would start heating up the seats, heating up the steering wheel, pre-warming the cabin, and then I would unplug it and go to work, and the thing's warm, already defrosted, fully charged, didn't have to ever stop to get gas. And that thing was good in the snow. I mean, if it was deeper than the bumper, you were stuck. But again, that's like once a year, twice a year. For the other 90+% of the year, that thing was awesome. So I've kind of been thinking, I might get this thing sold to somebody who can use it more than one big snow a year. Doesn't mind putting in a little work, doesn't mind the dents and dings. The mouse smell's gone. I don't know. I'd say tell me what you think, but I hardly ever read my comments anyway because they give me anxiety. But I'm done for today. There will be more videos because I gotta get this thing done. If I decide to sell it, I'll obviously have a video about that. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video of the Blazer series while I still have a Blazer. See you later.